So I want to talk about Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell. They met with the president yesterday, and I want to talk about that whole discussion because I think that they are actually making the argument for another round of stimulus checks. But before I talk about that, I do want to talk a little bit about what the president was saying when it comes to not having to wear a mask. So we finally have the CDC giving us guidelines when it comes to wearing a mask. You need to wear a mask if you've been fully vaccinated and it's past that 2-week period after your last shot. Do you need to wear a mask? And the president spoke about this earlier today. I'll show you the clip. And the CDC is indicating if you've been fully vaccinated, you do not need to wear a mask. Now, private companies, they still have the ability to say you need to wear a mask when you go into their establishment. But for the most part, if you're in a public area, you don't have to wear a mask. Now, the question is, airlines, how are they going to handle that? Are airlines going to say that you have to wear a mask or not? So that's going to be the next thing that I'm interested in. I'll be going on a trip in a couple of months. And so I want to know, am I going to have to wear a mask the whole time? Or, I mean, I've been fully vaccinated, so I'm in that category where I don't have to wear a mask. Now, are we going to have to prove? This is another question. Is this going to be something that needs to be proven? Do I have to show them I have an app on my phone. It shows that I've been vaccinated. Do I have to show that to them? Or do I have to show them the actual card, the vaccination card? So that will be something else that we don't have information on right now. But the good news, finally, you do not have to wear a mask if you've been fully vaccinated. Now, if you have not been fully vaccinated, the recommendation is that you continue to wear a mask to protect yourself, to protect others. Now, I don't know exactly how that can be enforced, and the president did admit that we're not going to be arresting people who are not fully vaccinated and who are not wearing masks. Because, like I said, it's going to be kind of hard to prove, especially if you're just out walking or you walk into a building and they're saying that you don't have to wear a mask and you walk into a building and you haven't been fully vaccinated. How are people going to know that? That will be interesting to see if just everybody just takes their mask off, or are we going to be in a situation where you're still going to have people that are wearing a mask? Let me play the president's clip here. Here we go.
Do it together. Now, I want to be clear about what the CDC is saying and what the CDC is not saying. The CDC is saying they have concluded that fully vaccinated people are at a very, very low risk of getting COVID-19. Therefore, if you've been fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. Let me repeat. If you are fully vaccinated, you no longer need to wear a mask. But if you've not been vaccinated, or if you're getting a 2-shot vaccine and you've not gotten you only had your first shot, but not your second, or you haven't waited the full 2 weeks after your second shot, you still need to wear a mask. Look, we've gotten this far. Please protect yourself until you get to the finish line. Because as great as this announcement is today, we don't want to let up. We all know how tough this virus has been. The safest thing for the country is for everyone to get vaccinated. And getting vaccinated is easier than ever. We've worked so hard. We have 80,000 locations. 90% of you live within 5 miles of one of those locations.
So that was the president there talking about the fact that you do not have to wear a mask if you've been fully vaccinated. Now, I want to talk about the stimulus checks. Okay, I want to talk about this fourth stimulus check. I want to talk about this infrastructure bill. And the Republicans right now, Republican leadership met with the president yesterday. And Kevin McCarthy, who is the minority leader in the House, he's making the argument for more direct payments indirectly, because the things that he is saying is setting up another round of stimulus checks. And I never thought I would say this, but that's what's going on. And I'm going to play this clip and then we're going to talk about it, because this is very important to listen to what he's saying as far as how the economy is going. And so let's go ahead and play this clip.
I felt our meeting was very strong when we talked about infrastructure. I think there's a place that we can find bipartisanship, and it's one thing I brought up to the president. We first have to start with the definition of what is infrastructure. That's not home health. That's road, bridges, highways, airports, broadband. Those are the places we could find common ground and work together. The other thing I think America wants to know is that you're not going to wait a decade to build it. I brought up to the president that we need NEPA reform. Most litigated legislation you'll find anywhere. We need to streamline, not wait 10 years. On average, you're getting 7 to 10 years. If we want to be competitive, we have to have things built now. I also took the opportunity to talk to the president about my concerns about the rise in inflation, especially the numbers that we see today. The concern of what has happened, we're incentivizing people not to work in America. As I've traveled this country, the concern I find from a number of people can't get them back to work. We need to get people back to work, back to school, back to health, and back to normal. I also raised the concern along the border that I want to talk to the president about, having traveled there a few times, of what I'm seeing there. Just if America was able to watch those young girls, one even 11 months old, that had a rancher not found them, would they even be alive today? The sad part is that's not the only story like that. It's day in and day out. And those are places we can work together and should work together to try to solve what is happening there. I'm really concerned what I see from a future of economics of America. We have not seen the inflation month over month like this since the 1970s and 1950s. We have not seen gasoline lines, or what we're going to find rationing, since Carter wasn't president. Those are things that we should be looking forward, not backwards. And the idea that spending more trillions of dollars into this economy when you have a supply constraint is actually the reverse that you want to do to keep America and make sure we don't have the inflation going. Yes.
Okay, so that was Kevin McCarthy. Now, you hear the doom and gloom, right? You hear this whole everything is going wrong. We have people waiting in line to get gas, and we know the reason for that because of the pipeline ransomware. So we've been watching that. We know why that's happening. That has nothing to do with the stimulus packages and the money that's been spent. He also talks about immigration. Obviously, yes, immigration is a problem. They do need to have some type of immigration reform, so they're going to have to move forward with something like that. But also, he's talking about the economy. Okay, now this is where he's stepping in this arena and could potentially get politicians on the other side to say, look, this is the reason why we need more direct payments. And the reason that I'm saying this is because at the very end, Kevin McCarthy was talking about we can't add more money to that. We can't spend more money when it comes to these different this infrastructure bill, which I think is everyone is agreeing that we should not be spending more money, but we should have some type of revenue coming in to pay for this infrastructure bill, to pay for this next infrastructure bill, the human infrastructure bill as well. And so the talk is the corporate tax rate, raising that. Obviously, Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell do not want to raise that corporate tax from 21% to 28%. And so that's a pay for, but they don't want to do that. So that's not going to be a part of their plan. However, President Biden, that's what he wants to do. And so he wants to do it that way. The Republicans want to do it a different way. So they want to take money from that last stimulus package and use that to fund some of the roads and bridges and airports. And then they also want to do a gas tax or increase the gas tax and then do some type of a mileage tax. So that tax will be passed on to everyone. So when you hear politicians, when you hear Republicans, Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell say, we don't want to tax the American people more, guess what? That is a tax on the American people. And every American will feel that. And I talked about this in a video a couple of days ago. Every American will feel a gas tax, even if you don't drive a vehicle. Because at some point, you're going to be using some transportation, or you're going to be in a situation where if you go to the grocery store, guess what? Trucks bring those groceries into the grocery store. Those truckers are charging more now to bring that product to the grocery store, which means the grocery store has to raise their prices in order to cover that cost. And The American people are the ones that are paying for that. And delivery services the same way. Anything, even if you're traveling, you're going on a trip, everything will go up because of that. He also talked about inflation. Now, inflation is on the rise, is what he's saying. So that means that our economy is not stable, and our economy might take a downturn. So that's even more of an argument for another round of stimulus checks and direct payments, as long as there's a pay for. And I think that's what's going to be focused on now. Don't just print more money, but have a pay for. If you have a pay for, then go ahead and move forward with it. And I will guarantee you that you're going to have politicians on the other side now that are going to look at this, they're going to use this and say, yes, you know what? The economy is not doing that well. We need to stimulate the economy even more. We need to provide more money for businesses. We need to provide more direct payments to the American people. We need to extend the child tax credit. So a lot of those things, we're going to hear politicians coming out now and saying that. And you have Kevin McCarthy, minority leader in the House, saying all these things. He's saying all these doom and gloom things. And now, if they do find a pay for, and they provide this, and they say, look, we want to do this for the American people. We want to give them direct payments. We want to have some type of monthly payments for the American people. Now Kevin McCarthy he's kind of put himself in a box. Well, you said, Kevin McCarthy, that the economy is doing bad, that inflation is on the rise and all this. We're just trying to protect the American people. And we want to raise taxes because of that. We want to raise that corporate tax rate because of that. And he's not going to have anywhere to go when it comes to that. So I want to know what you guys think about this. I think, I was telling you guys before, there's like a 40% chance of us receiving another a forced stimulus check or a direct payment. But it's starting to actually look a lot more reasonable. Just looking at the current situation and looking at what the politicians, the Republicans, are talking about when it comes to the economy. Now, if Kevin McCarthy was saying that the economy's doing well and we're back on track, that's one thing. Now, they were saying that several months ago, right before the last stimulus package was signed, but they're not saying that now. And so they're actually supporting the argument for more stimulus. So let me know what you guys think. So let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.